Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to new Patreon, Donald Hill, Rob H, Ben White, Maxim Gravy, Austin Whitsitt, John Kays, Julian Jeremiah, Tommy Swagnetz, Michael Kahn, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Sampson, Maris, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, theflatearthchannel.com, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
They're very little about the globe. They lied their asses off. And all they're here to do is troll. And now tell them Nathan's shows Monday morning, and they're not anywhere to be found. They're trolls. They're liars, and they're cowards.
I don't know who you're talking about, but puppy out. Who are you talking about?
Talking about Tom and Eagle, all those four idiots that came in Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night. I don't remember now exactly. Saturday night, Friday night, whatever night that was. Oh yeah, we just came in to learn how flat earthers think, how you explain this or that. And, I don't know that much about the globe. And then when he asked a question, and it got answered, and then he re-asked the question a little differently, and that got answered. And then a third time where he changed the question again, I was pretty sure that we were dealing with trolls. As it turned out, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So they're supposed to be here, proving the globe.
Well, all ballers are trolls. That's obvious, whether they like it or not. I mean, you can't come in here and parrot the nonsense day in and day out and not be a fool. I mean, just, the game is too long. We've been here too long. You can get upset with, the same arguments, the same motive, crazy, they're lost.
I know. I would like to see them come on Nathan's show. I would like to see all four of them at one time come on Nathan's show, because he'll kick all their asses. That's what I just, I get my little fix of it.
Well, the average flat earther can kick any baller's nonsense.
I was just going to say, you got to kick their ass.
Argument.
Yeah, because there's no new information about the ball. All the information's already laid out, and everything's pretty much been debunked. I mean, there's no new information that hasn't been presented, and whatever they bring, it's all just parroting off of somebody else parroting somebody else.
You hear me?
Yeah, we hear you and your alarms.
Okay.
Kind of low.
Those?
Yeah, that's it. Tell the guy with the alarms in the background to turn his volume up. That's it.
It's a reverse signal from Trump.
Listen, stop waiting for Nathan to kick their ass, and you kick their ass the same way.
Well, we've been kicking their ass up and down, but they came in saying one thing, and we realized who they were. Of course, I realized immediately. And we're trying to point them over here, get them on the show, because they know so much.
Yeah, I'm only kidding. There's a certain way Nathan does it that I enjoy as well.
That's right. That's what I said. I think you probably heard me. I didn't realize you were in the room yet, but that's exactly what I just kept on saying.
You mean like that I tell them off?
Yeah. I enjoy watching you. I enjoy watching you let them, I see the patience you have a little bit in the beginning, and then I see the idiocy coming out, and then I sit back and pick up the coffee.
It's not
I
just
think it's
that.
his
It's the way
English
you do
insults and his accent.
Well, yeah, that's true. One thing, I'm pretty sure you had voice lessons and all that crap, right?
Give up!
Because all the pronunciation and the way you pronounce everything, and there's no way you can be misunderstood. And that's good. I like that part.
Yeah, I did have voice and speech lessons.
Yeah, I think, didn't you say that you did that? Acting lessons and all that?
Yeah, part of performing arts was voice and speech.
Right.
Hey, Flatsoid. Loving your work.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Very well indeed. No complaints. How are you?
Very good, just very busy with end of year. Otherwise, going well. Got the day off, so I'll drop by for a few minutes.
Jolly good.
Sure, it's hot here today.
Hot?
Yeah, things like something like 46 degrees Celsius.
Your last video probably took you, I'm going to guess, well, several hours. And got so little love. All that work. I was watching it thinking, this must have taken him ages to hack all this stuff up and edit it together.
No, it's a few minutes here and there for a few weeks. So at the end of the day, it comes up to much. But it was just actually a build-up to... I'm actually going to be doing a fake production of showing them how you can do it fake. I was thinking of doing a spoof of, look, I found edited footage of the moon, and then at the end of say, look, it's not actually, this is how I did it. It was actually me doing it, to show you how it could be faked.
Oh, gotcha.
Because, yeah, it's actually just simple production. I don't know how the people don't understand. It's just production. There's nothing more to it.
No, I completely agree. I say it all the time. I totally get it. It is just production. It's just a stage. It's just men on high wire. It's just green screens. It's just digital technology. That's all it is. But, what are you going to do?
I really thought about going to a flat earth convention and getting a bunch of flat earthers help me put on a fake NASA, call it like the second law of thermodynamics violating area. But whatever. But just have them like standing behind their laptops and everybody wearing the same color shirt and then jumping up and cheering all at once. And then have like a model rocket take off and just do all the things that NASA does to trick people. And then when the ballers come in pissed off because got a space agency saying it's flat, you they point out how it's faked, and they kind of debunk their own stuff with it.
They're kind of saying if you can't beat them, join them. If they're going to be faking it, well, I can fake it too.
Well, no, just to get them to acknowledge how it's faked by you faking it, so they can't point out your what you've done to fake it without it looking, showing how they faked it.
But they can. Earlier in the Discord server, they were talking about people trolling. It's like they're not trolling. They've been fundamentally deceived and can't quite believe it. Hence, they repeat their question. Surely you can't just overcome this question. I came in with such confidence that this would be the end of your argument. So when you defeat it, they can't quite fathom it.
Yeah, what's got me at the moment is looking at what the astronauts have to go through before they actually get qualified to be an astronaut. Quite hectic stuff. I mean, even through marine, water-based Navy training. And you look at some of these astronauts and you think, do these people even know how to swim?
Right. I mean, if they are going through that training, have you ever seen The Prestige? The movie The Prestige, where he's two competing magicians?
Oh, yeah.
Well, in that, there's a scene where the older guy explains to one of the magicians to go and watch a certain Chinese guy do his magic show. And the guy hobbles on, does a few magic tricks. But then one of the tricks, he makes a bowl with a fish appear on stage from behind a piece of sheet. And the crowds all disperse. They go out and they're round the back of the stage watching the old magician hobble his way to the car. And the one guy says to the other, this is the trick. This is the magic. Because they laid and cut to the scene with them both trying to carry this absolutely enormous fish bowl full of water between their legs and hobble along with the fish bowl. In other words, his whole life is geared around convincing everyone around him that he's frail, when in reality he's got unbelievably strong legs and he's just smuggling the glass bowl full of water between his thighs onto stage. But that's not the trick. The trick is to make people not think he's ever capable of doing that because he's a frail old man. Yeah? Well, in the same way, showing the right stuff, do you know that reference? Showing how they achieve the right stuff. Pare them down to the best of the best of the best. Right? That's the trick. Yeah? Showing you all of that bit. They've got to be at the peak of physical excellence to do this. Watch. NASA. That's what they're going to show you. That's the trick.
Yep. If it's
Didn't they
appealing
just
to the
recently
audience,
make
they
a
fall for
TV
it.
series called The Right Stuff?
Say that again.
William Shatner had the right stuff.
William Shatner? Oh, absolutely. They put him through that rigorous training without question. Why would you even doubt that 90-year-old man could go through that training?
Was he bow-legged?
He was carrying a big fishbowl.
Well, he managed to not even shat himself, so he did well.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Tent.
Hey, Flatsoid. Good to see you on the show.
Yeah, been a while.
It has.
The ballers are going nuts.
They are.
Yeah,
No, I
nuts
mean-
with everybody every day.
No, I know, but you put that triggered response. Remember?
Oh, yeah, with Ranty's the one that's been claiming to ignore me for how many months. Gives me a very triggered response just because I attacked these cats' very lame video.
Why'd you guys watch this crap? You're gluttons for punishment as far as I'm concerned.
No,
I just read the chat that he posted.
Yeah, no, I just heard everybody's saying, "Hey, Cats and Mr. Sensible is attacking your top 10 a globe Earth fails," and number 10 was about the magnetic core, about the Curie point. And on the one slide, I forgot to change the curry to curry. It was a typo.
In other words, there was a
obviously they're
joke in
gonna
there
fall
that you
back.
forgot to add. You were going to change it to the curry point.
No, it was changed to curry. So I just decided to leave it that way, which is a spelling error. So I thought, okay, it's just a bit of humor, leave it that way.
You're spicing it up a little bit. No biggie.
And these guys take it so seriously. But Mr. Kat's argument is, because I forgot to put that little dotted key before the C on centigrade, now I'm talking about coulombs instead of centigrade. And that's his argument to me on why my number 10 is a fail. And Mr. Sensible is talking about the dynamo effect. And they don't understand, to have the dynamo effect to work, you're going to need you need a present magnetic field in the first instance. So I'm asking, where do you get this magnetic field? And that's why I got that response.
It shows they don't pay attention. They don't pay close enough attention to the housekeeping questions. A self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. Yeah, you're going to need R for that, lads. That's all I'd be interested in getting. All right, this is at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. The centre? That sounds a lot like a radius that you're claiming there, my friend. Where'd you get R for the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth to have a core in the first place?
Well, since you use the word curry, don't worry. It's going to pan out at the end.
Yeah, I'd love to see how they even got to the core. Did they dig with their hand?
Yeah, because Ranty sent me some very triggered message that thanks all. I mean, I haven't heard of Ranty in such a long time.
Kidding me? You're watching his videos?
Nope, nothing. He sent me that message on my post. That triggered message.
I see.
They're desperate for attention, so they're watching their posts as if you're watching their posts, but since you're not, they have to remind you by sending you the posts they watched that they wish you watched.
Exactly. They have to hold each other's hand.
Yeah, they want your attention. It's really sweet. So who are you guys in Discord talking about when we first joined the conversation? About 10 minutes ago. You were moaning about 3 people specifically.
He was talking about trolls.
Yeah, just some new guys that showed up, and they're not here today.
What, they were in the server yesterday?
Yeah, over the weekend.
I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, obviously more power to you, and I hope Betty's server grows and people hang around, but beyond this show, I'm never in the server. I don't know how you do it. Is it not completely toxic? I'm asking.
It's very toxic.
Discord generally is toxic. Doesn't matter whose Discord server it is, because people are toxic, and there's people in these servers, right? So they're going to be toxic.
You can judge your success by how much they hate you, though.
Oh, one more time, Chaos. You're breaking up a bit.
And
Okay. No idea what's going on with Discord. Chaos muted his mic and the audio carried on coming. Weird.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Can you hear what?
Oh, I thought you.
I can hear you two
Discord's
fine.
all right.
Yeah, Discord's a bit glitchy. It just does that from time to time. Mostly because of mic discipline. People not, feedback loops.
I stopped
we were
going to
talking
Discord, but
It's almost like it's the training grounds. It's the toddler training center for how to behave in public.
Oh, I couldn't disagree more. No. People take the opposite view of things like servers and internet discussion forums in any format. They see it as an excuse to behave like their worst self, as opposed to how they might behave in public. I mean, I take the opposite view, which is to say I try and stay as close as possible to type, i.e. my persona, which is what you would describe me as when I'm on a show, is as close to Nathan Oakley as I can make that persona. Obviously, it's a persona. You can't not have a persona, even if it's yourself. You're still going to have a certain, what's a different word to persona, a character, if you will, that you will portray, even if you're being yourself. But most people don't take that view. They take the opposite view, you know, and the dark shit that they bottle up and would never express in public is what they will quite happily let come to the forefront when they're on some forum or some Discord server or some chat room or whatever. So yeah, I think it gives people the ability to be more toxic.
Well, you can also judge your success in the way that they speak to you as well. You know, like in your shows, the comments threads are filled with like your adoring anti-fans wanting to spout hate against you. You know, the reason they're there is because something you said deeply affected them.
Yeah, I especially like the ones that moan about how people aren't there as they comment. They crack me up.
Well, if you take it in levels, right? Like it started with people just talking to random people on the internet. And then we kind of got this whole social media thing where you started connecting to more your local people or whatever. And I agree, like people do behave toxically on the internet, but I think we're finding at least somewhat there are genuine people that want to connect and like have an honest conversation. And there are people like I was saying, like they're kind of learning how to behave appropriately. The ones that don't know how to behave appropriately, I mean.
Right. I mean, I was quite lucky in my first introduction to chat discussions online because I was very much acquainted with the internet before that aspect of it was introduced to me in the mid to late 90s. And the guy who showed it me was a fairly dweeby guy, you know, and at the time he was married to a particularly repugnant woman. And, you know, he was just a bit of a perv. And he immediately was like asking girls via AIM, I think it was called at the time, AOL Instant Messenger, what they were wearing. And I, you know, looked at him while he was typing this on the computer he's showing me with a disc he's literally just bunged in for AOL 20 minutes earlier. I'm like, I don't want to be this guy. You know, I like you what I am. I don't want to be some guy that's like you are now being, because you wouldn't stroll up to a girl in a bar and ask her what kind of pants she had on, but you're doing that here online just because you can, just because you can get away with it, basically. I thought, I don't want to get away with anything. You know, that is not my general attitude out in day-to-day life. Why would that change here? And I pretty much put that to him, and he was like, because you can. You can do whatever you like. You can be whoever you want. Well, no, I'm quite happy with who I am, thanks. So I use my own name and have done ever since. My, you know, online persona has got my name on it. And that, I think that tends to keep me a bit more honest as well. If people had their own name, they normally think a little bit longer about posting something that's particularly vile if your name is literally attached to that. That's why they have fake names. No offence to all of you in the Discord server. Or anybody else for that matter.
No, I agree. There's definitely a lack of accountability when it comes to that. You get a little anonymity. I was
And
trying
I
to pronounce
imagine
it.
some of the younger people, there'd be a lot of them that haven't had really many real social interactions with people. You know, so many of them have spent, you know, their whole lives just interacting through a computer. So, yeah.
Right. And when they go out and actually have some social interactions, if those parts of their personality become surface level in real life, and very quickly people up close and personal express their disapproval of those behaviours, and there's no, well, I'll just cyber stalk you then because they're there and then right in front of you going, no, you're just a disgusting human being, I'm afraid. You know, that can hit home quite hard if you haven't actually experienced people pointing out how vile people can be online just because they can. And I think a lot of the times people get a bit of a rush out of getting away with it. In other words, you know, it's not just the I can do this, it's the I can do this and there seemingly is no consequences to it. But deep down inside they know there potentially should be, so therefore they've got away with something. And that gives them a bit of a, you know, a bit of a buzz. I'm only guessing, I have no idea.
No, it is. It's like it's playing into that whole role-playing fantasy thing a little bit. People get to just let loose, right? But like I said, I think there's levels where we're getting to a point where people want to be more genuine and have those connections again, like real connections.
I mean, you can have them. I've got plenty of online friends that I've met in real life, and they are exactly the same. In other words, I can only assume they've adopted the same attitude as I have. But, you know, like-minded people tend to find each other. And, you know, they are in the minority, admittedly, online. People who are just upfront and out there in terms of who they are. Maybe not in the mainstream. Maybe in the mainstream, if you're a news reporter, you know, you go online and you just keep your news reporter personality because that's advantageous, because that's what you're selling. But if you exclude that particular corner, you go back to what I said earlier. It's like, aren't you happy with who you are? Maybe change something then. If you know, you feel that you need to be a different type of personality when you're online because you can or otherwise. It's like, if that were me, I'd start questioning why that was. You know, what is it about me and my life that makes me want to be this way? You know, don't get me wrong.
Let's go, Brandon.
Say again.
Let's go, Brandon.
Don't know what that means.
You heard that whole thought. There was this car race, and the guy that won the race was being interviewed after the race, and the crowd was chanting, fuck Joe Biden. And the reporter said that it was that they were chanting, let's go, Brandon.
Oh, I see. Like in The Simpsons,
And so
where
now
what's the evil guy in
has
Simpsons?
become synonymous with fuck Joe Biden.
I've got you. No, I picked up on that. I just didn't want you to say it a second time, so I tried to talk through you, but it didn't work.
Sorry.
That's okay. You got it through. But there is an equivalent in The Simpsons. So I think it's a film festival that Mr. Burns pays for and gets the Mexican equivalent of Steven Spielberg. So hires Steven Spielberg to make a film, and then at the end of the film, everyone's going boo, boo, boo. And he turns to Smithers and says, "Are they booing me, Smithers?" And he says, No, they're saying, "Boo earns, boo earns."
Boo earns.
Boo earns.
There's another great Simpsons example, I think. It's a Halloween episode in which all the monsters on the billboards are coming out and they just simply turn their backs to them and don't pay attention to them, and they don't have any power anymore. I think that one's pretty powerful.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good metaphor. I almost said, why are you paying this much attention to Joe Biden? Maybe he is that character that is designed to hate. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about your politics. I know who he is.
Let's go, Brandon.
Hello.
I feel bad for him. I feel like they're using an old man that's got dementia. I think they might be torturing him. I can't say for sure.
Biden go poopy pants.
Oh, come on, you guys.
Well, all I can say is to respond to you when you talk about trying to find like-minded people around you. Having seen the whole Trump fiasco that went on for the past 4 years in this country that I live in, and now this whole whatever is going on with our current leader, I mean, to find I guess there are like-minded people around me. They're not outspoken. Everybody has been turned into as we say, like a sheep that doesn't want to speak their mind.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Arwin, Flatsoid, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, hello.
Hey, good morning.
Happy 1 November.
How's it going?
Very well, it's all going good. Everyone happy? Everyone settled? Everyone warmed up?
Getting there.
Everyone off mute? Probably not, as Righteous Force isn't around. I'll see if I can remedy that while we're asking a few housekeeping questions. So, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
It exists in the math.
Do the people still claim the horizon is Earth curve?
Occasionally. Not here. Well, occasionally here.
If you lived on a ball, you would have measurable geometry of said ball.
Yeah, you'd have to have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon if you were on a ball.
Right, so as long as they assume they're on a ball, they will still believe the horizon is the edge of a curve. The edge of a sphere.
No, we've debunked that. Black Swan.
Yeah, but if, you know,
That's
if
John.
the Earth was a ball.
Yeah, that's John's point. If the Earth was a ball, they would and must have a geometric horizon, and they haven't.
Well, that's
So
if
the
you
only
go to
logical-
the really is world.
Yeah, we're talking
The
about the
only
really is
logical
world. Go
conclusion-
ahead, John. Make your conclusion. Owen's determined to ruin it.
The only conclusion you can draw is if you don't measure, it's not real. You don't live on a sphere.
Wait for Owen to jump in.
Yeah, but the model, you know.
Yeah, not really is level yet. Model, yeah, no. We don't live on a model. We don't work at the not really is level. We work at the really is level, and the really isn't a geometric horizon. The really would be if you had an Earth similar to a basketball held up to a flea. The flea would see a geometric limitation to its view at the leading edge of that basketball, beyond which it wouldn't be able to see past. That is a geometric horizon for a flea on a basketball, and Earth has claimed to have that. We don't. The horizon isn't a geometric limitation to your view. Black Swan.
Yeah, but you see the model everywhere, right? You constantly discussed, it's constantly shown, constantly discussed. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to get to that really is level because you're constantly being referenced the model.
Yeah, we live in a
But
world
doesn't
that... Go ahead.
doesn't that model also keep changing its values?
It's only a model.
I mean, if a model was to be true,
At
then you wouldn't have
best.
to change values.
Models will never be true. That's a reification fallacy.
But it's locally flat.
Yeah, although I've seen it plenty of times, lots of people have mirrored and hacked up and republished a shortened version of Taboo Conspiracy 3 is the channel names. I think it's like 13 videos total. I can't remember the exact number. But originally, shout out to Mitchell from Australia, who did this about 10 days ago, and basically took all of those videos and did an hour-long show. Did it live as well. Hats off to you, as always. You know, had it all queued up and did it live and played out all those videos with, you know, a bit of interaction with the chat in between. He's a great host, actually. I'm a bit envious of Mitchell. That's why I give him a bit of stick when he's on Ballbusters or on the Tuesday show. Because it's like, yeah, you're good at what you do. that's epic. And I'm very, you know, a little bit jealous. So keep doing what you do, Mitchell. It's epic. But yeah, a few other people have done exactly the same. John Thor recently did exactly the same thing. So he's taken a lot of those videos and hacked them up. But in the earlier sections, you've got him going through all the NASA documents where they're telling various engineers and various different whatevers to treat the world as flat and stationary. You know, Earth is considered flat and stationary in these calculations. NASA headed.
Well, NASA knows how the sextant works.
Yeah, so do we. It's devastating. There'll be something else. There'll be something else in 2022 that's equally as devastating as the Black Swan and the Sextant. It's coming.
Oh no, it's Nathan. There's so many tentacles from the sextant. When you get a free time, I need to show you because they're coming, and it's just an avalanche, and it's all based on the sextant. So, sextant might go into 2022.
I don't doubt it. It will, without doubt, same as the Black Swan has, you know.
Well, QE rightfully renamed my slide "The Age of the Sextant."
Well, you know, like the horizon mirror, you know, they keep on saying the horizon's refracted. So why would you be pointing a mirror at an optical illusion? How do you get coordinates from an optical illusion?
You don't. That's what I held a virus over the barrel for and shouted at him and berated him on a mass scale. I trimmed that out and published it yesterday in case anyone wants to check it out. I think I called it something like the Black Swan and the Guillotine Cord. But yeah, you know, when they're describing how a sextant works, in this case a Kumu virus, he's describing how it works on a flat plane, because that is how it works. So when it comes to him using the word horizon, he wouldn't even say it. And when he finally did, he's like, yeah, okay, horizon, what's the problem? That's what we're pointing the horizon mirror at when we're establishing this straight, flat baseline. And when he said that originally, we welcomed him to Flat Earth for it. So it's all primed for him to go, well, okay, horizon, not a problem. Meaning not a problem for me on a sphere to have a straight, flat baseline to a geometric debunked sphere edge. Black Swan was precisely what he got told.
You could see they're desperate because they started off, and this was, you know, I brought just enough about it because I wanted to, like I said, set a trap. So people say, oh, you're clever. No, it's not clever. I want to know how they're going to respond, and the response they give me is the trap. So here's the early view of their responses. All you got to do is read the Sextant manual, and you'll know that the way the flat earthers are representing the sextant is wrong. So that was like the very first one, and they're still pushing that one. Now I'll just keep it on that one, because what John just said is that the horizon mirror in the Sextant manual is called the horizon mirror for a purpose, because you're supposed to aim it at the horizon. So the Sextant manual says aim the sextant at the horizon, horizontal, flat, straight, so that you can achieve an angle. So the very thing they're saying is actually doing a number on them. Because show me where in the Sextant manual it says you're aiming it from the center of the earth in actuality. See, they put that in your head that the measurement's coming from the center of the earth because that's the only place on the two-dimensional circle they can get a vertex. They know they can't get a vertex on the surface of the earth to form an angle. So guess what they got to say? You're getting the angle from the center. Okay, fine. That's what you're telling me. But how's the tool used and where is it being operated? On the surface or the center? Well, it's on the surface. Okay. Well, can they give me an angle with a curved line underneath? Well, no, forget that because we're really taking it from the center. Oh, so you're presupposing that you live on a sphere and you make the sextant inoperable by using it on the surface where it's curved. These guys are fools.
Right. Owen described it as them saying, no, you can't take this angle measurement from the deck of your boat. No. You've got to tie an anchor to it and drop it to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. You literally cannot make this measurement on a globe. And even when they try and justify how the measurement relates to a globe after it's made on a flat plane, it's the only way you can get two straight lines for an angle. They will tell you that you physically can't have been holding the sextant to measure the angle.
It's even worse than that because the rebuttal to that will be that, it's such a massively, infinitely large sphere that, the parallax is negligible. Well, then why would you correct for a dip angle if the parallax was negligible? It becomes double speak.
Well, it becomes farcical. You're absolutely right. If you're going to correct for the angle versus your height above the deck that's got a straight line to make it purely geometrical in terms of the measurement, you're not going to then wish away any inaccuracies by saying, oh, well, they're infinitely distant, so it doesn't really matter. It's like, whoa. No, the more precise you get, the more accurate the tool is. If you assume and utilise the ground as it actually presents itself, that would be flat.
Brian, from Brian's logic, put it the best. To make it geometric, you have to do the dip correction. Now, they can say whatever they want about dip correction they want, but it's basically taking your eyeballs and putting it on the surface of the water. So if you're 14 feet above the water on a sailboat using a sextant, you got to it's always a subtraction in the sight reduction. So you always got to do that. So that baseline is straight so that you can have a vertex. You are the vertex. So that means that altitude, that elevation of the sun, 3,000 miles away, has a zenith, a plumb line, directly over the Earth, touching the Earth at that place. And you're 3,000 miles away, and when you do a dip correction, you're making that baseline straight to that GP of that sun or star, 3,000 miles. Guess what? You also are a GP because you're somewhere on the Earth, and that's what you're trying to figure out. Once you know where the sun is, then you can figure out where you are on the Mercator map with the longitude-latitude coordinates, because they know where the stars are based on this grid over a flat plane. So you have a zenith, and you have a GP. Now, that's what I've just been waiting. It's just, I think I need a little more time for them to bury themselves more.
No, I completely agree. One of my favourite moments of 2021 will be that episode where Brian told us off. Because Brian's really, he's a well-mannered, cool-tempered guy, and not often do I hear Brian getting his blood boiling. But on that day it did. And why? Well, because we didn't get it. Or I didn't get it. I know you got it 10th, but I got it, but I didn't see the significance or importance. I'm like, it doesn't matter. So you take off 12 feet because your boat's 12 feet high off the water, who cares? It doesn't really matter, and half the time they don't do it because it doesn't, you don't need that level of accuracy. You'll get within 10 miles if you didn't do it, so who cares? And that was my attitude, because it's true. Brian's point was lost in my sort of demeaning of the point. It becomes pure geometry when you make that correction. And what do we mean by that? Well, it then doesn't factor in anything to do with you or your boat, you just become, as 10th Man just described, you become the vertices of that angle. Your feet being on the floor and a straight flat line to the GP of the star. Now, both of those 2 points, i.e. the GP of the star and the GP of you, have both got 90-degree angles at them. They make the bottom of a box, so that you can draw a line from you to the star to make a triangle to do your trig. Well, when you have that geometric certitude, i.e. because I've made this correction to the ground, I'm now, in my geometric calculation, perfectly flat and level and straight from me to, as 10th used a second ago, I'll use the same figure, 3,000 miles away to wherever the point on the ground below that star is. There's a straight flat line with 290 degrees at both of them at that point. Once you make the dip correction, i.e. correct for your height above the ground. Now, like I say, Brian knew the significance of that. It's really, really important. You know, that turns it into pure geometry. And if I didn't get that point, which I didn't at the time, Brian knew how important it was to stress it so much and make sure we understood the significance of it at the end, even if he had to get angry to do so. And he did. And it's like, that was a real penny drop moment. Oh yeah, bloody hell. You know, now you've got your 2 90-degree points for you and your zenith, and the star and its zenith. GP, sorry. At its zenith. So you've got a 90-degree on both points. Well, what does that mean? Well, between both points is flat and level. The Earth is flat. There's no other way for this to work.
That's why I like asking them, what is acute angle? I mean, because they claim the sextant is a 60, so it's obviously acute. And if it's an acute angle, they have to then concede that it comes from a 90-degree angle. You cannot get an acute without having a 90-degree. Simple.
Nathan, I'm putting together a few slides. When I'm ready, I'll ask you to share them in Master B. So
Okay.
Keep the conversation going.
Yeah, you'll have to be patient with me. I've still smashed the PayPal link, by the way. Help me pay for repairs on my equipment, because I'm running on, I can't remember the exact fraction now. I think it's 2/5, that's right. 2/5 of my original real estate that I need to run the show. So I've got a busted projector, and in case you don't know, I'm running it on something that was kindly donated by Adam Meakin, but it's still a right faff to actually move things around with that little screen real estate. So I've got hundreds of things overlapping each other. So just bear with me when you do. Also, smash the PayPal link to support this channel.
Well, I think it's interesting that the complacency about Brian's point is actually the baller's position on that point. You know what I mean? It's almost like we're indoctrinated early to not even think about it.
I just hadn't seen the geometric significance of it. You know, the 290 degrees, once you've got both of them, in other words, once you've made the correction Brian was so keen to stress, and rightly so, you've got a box. You've got the bottom of a box. And I've got you and your zenith, that's 90 degrees to the ground once you make the correction. And the star at its GP, 90 degrees to your position also. Bottom of a box, basically. And then what you're trying to figure out is the angle for you with your sextant versus the star that you're measuring against the horizon mirror, which is giving you a flat baseline. So you've got a flat baseline and an angle to a star or the sun. That's it. It is really basic once you know how. It's not. You've got to wrap your head around it to give concise, detailed summaries. And in giving such concise, detailed summaries from 10th, certain points are going to get lost on us that, you know, Brian was keen to stress because they are worthy of stressing, and he did stress them. And I'm glad he did. Like I say, that's my favourite moment probably of 2021. Because you obviously have to have all of your hard work leading up to that, and Brian's for that matter, to have the understanding disseminated to us to miss the subtlety of a point like that. But the lead up to that point, and to see it as a really, really strong argument for me to put hand on heart and say this is probably my favourite flat Earth proof to date, one that I'll quite happily parrot off if someone says, how'd you prove it? Well, Sextant proves it. But missing that subtle detail. So it's like, yeah, so there's still plenty to learn on the Sextant.
Okay, I'm ready with those slides. Just tell me which one and I'll start the commentary.
While I've got it on my local screen. Tell me which one you want first, and I'll try and line it up.
You can show the one with the boat and the right angle triangle over a curved ball that can't work.
Okay.
All right, audience can see it now.
I can. It just looks a bit of a mess. Just you start. I've got it on the celestial.
No, I see it. Okay, I see it because I got my iPad next to me as well. So, okay. So as you can see here, this is from a navigation site, and they believe the Earth is a ball. So this is their slide. I didn't do anything to the slide. That's not my drawing. So he's got a boat representing somewhere on the Earth on a curved surface, and then he's got an actual representation of how the right angle triangle goes to the GP of the sun. As you can see there, the sun with that zenith position is not aiming at the right place on the surface of the curve there. It's just kind of an angle to it. It's almost like teeter-tottering. So everyone would laugh at this picture because you can't get this right angle on any curved surface, obviously, because the base line of the right angle triangle is straight and the surface it's on is curved. So it is not representative of anything mathematical to be true here. All right. The next slide, I think you see globe Earth right angle, and the one next to it is depiction of the true right angle on the horizontal. Do you see that one? Yeah, perfect. So I think Adam did this one, or someone did this one. You see, it's over right here. Sextant can't do what the curved picture to the left says it can do. It can't do that. It can only do what the one on the right says. And the previous picture shows the comical or the comedic view of how silly it is for the globers to use the sextant to prove the globe. It actually does the opposite. Next slide. It'll show two circles of equal altitudes intersecting at two parts. And these circles are different radiuses. Let's say one is 3,000 miles from the GP to the navigator on that boat, where line of position is. Say the circle to the right is 2,000 radius miles. Well, that's 3 and 2, and there he is. All have to be flat because that's the fix. So he's triangulated himself because he knows where he is based on the previous day's log of dead reckoning and longitude, latitude on the Mercator map. Next slide. You can see here, it's exactly the way a sextant is computed, a right angle triangle. You see the star or sun's GP, and that's a straight vertical plumb line zenith right over that part of the Earth. Okay? And you could see that the apparent position and the difference in altitude has to be figured out, because first you have to assume where you are based on your dead reckoning. And you're basically saying, I'm here, but I know I'm wrong. So let me shoot that sun and go to the books and see what those numbers tell me. And if those numbers tell you plus or they tell you minus, then you adjust for your position, and that way you locate your intercept the way where you are. Now the next slide is what I really want to get to. This is done by this. I forget about the curved line underneath because they want you to think it can happen on a curved surface. That yellow arrow is not curved in reality, because you can't have this box with two right angles if that bottom line was curved. So this slide is a mess already. But let's use it because it does show what I want to show here. And what is that? That it's a 90-degree, so right angle, and it's a 60-degree shot with the sextant. So you minus 60 from 90, and since 1 degree is 60 nautical miles on the Earth's surface, your co-altitude is 30 degrees. 30 degrees times 60 is 1,800 nautical miles. Do you see how the zenith position is over the observer as a right angle? So if you were where the sun was, it'd be the reverse. But in order to get your co-altitude. You have to have a right angle of where the sun is first. And then the two zeniths are important because the co-altitude used here by establishing your zenith, because you're somewhere on the Earth, and that has to be straight, or else you can't have this slide. This slide destroys the globe, and yet they think they could trick us by making the bottom line curved. Does everyone see it?
Yes.
It's over. It can't work if you're going to use the co-altitude and convert that into nautical miles.
You're getting more and more slick with it. Got to keep banging that drum. Excellent stuff. Did you want me to pop anything else up?
Only beginning. It is only beginning. This is why I need you and me to talk. I have to show you things. It's going to get far worse for them.
Well, thank you very much.
This is why I waited. Brian jumped it, but I'm okay with Brian jumping it because I wanted that dip correction to be a trap, and it worked well because Bob bid on it.
Yeah, props. Keep them coming.
Yeah, it's funny in his diagram, he'd had the HOR, the HOR, it was supposed to be horizontal, and then he had a horizon below it, but that isn't how you use a sextant.
No, his globe fantasy horizon is below the one you're actually pointing at with the sextant.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, like he's introducing two horizontals. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm going to relabel when it's time that HOR is going to stand for horror because they just did themselves in with, well, yeah, at least he did. He did himself in with that one. Let's put it that way.
I mean, the guy wouldn't even acknowledge that he had a radius in his diagram. That's how bad it's gotten for them.
He had a circle he couldn't define. He had two radiuses he wouldn't acknowledge. And there's much more. He says, I'm not here to define geometry. Well, you're using it, so we need you to define it. No, I'm not here. I want to use it, but don't hold me to it. Let me say whatever I want to say.
Look, I was trying to explain parallels. He couldn't really. That's his way of trying to beat around the bush to just, how can I put, get his gullible followers to believe him. It's all. It's just a magic.
Yeah, it seems like everything comes back to bendizonal, doesn't it? For them.
The funny thing is that now that I go, because I'm constantly searching for new information on this topic, and guess what I'm seeing? I'm seeing Bob's latest part 1, part 2, part 3 Sextant videos popping up. And I'm saying, this is glorious. This is fantastic. Because now it's a matter of record. And he is saying things in his videos that no one else says in their videos. Keep them coming, Bob.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's going to be no one out there to back them in their anti-flat Earth rhetoric when it comes to the sextant.
The minute they admit, and they all do, Virus did it on the last show, it's an angle measuring device. Then you must define what an angle is. Show me an angle with a curved bottom, please. Somebody?
Yeah, they can't.
He
It's
tried
game
the
over.
bendizonal.
No, not bendizontal. No. Bendizontal's not going to give you 90 degrees.
Geodesics.
Geodesics, what, fourth dimensional space-time bending? Yeah, no. We're talking about the geometry of angles. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Go ahead, Chaos.
Well, no, I'm just stating what Virus was saying, that geodesics is a straight line on a globe, and it matters, but it really doesn't. It's not 4D.
Well, don't get distracted by that, please. You say fine. Now show me how a sextant can measure that geodesic.
It doesn't. It measures flat at all times.
So you
and
can't
then you have
use
to put
the
in for
sextant.
a hypothetical dip correction.
I'm sorry to interrupt there. So basically what you're saying is they can say anything in rebuttal, but then you'll say, well, how does the sextant work and how is it confined to work only in this particular way? Can it do that? No. Okay, well then, bye-bye. That argument don't work because you're saying that your navigators who believe in the ball Earth are using a tool that can only complement and verify a flat plane.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's over. Now, if they want to prove it geodesic, find me a tool that can do it because the sextant ain't the tool. Oh, but it's too late for that because they've been saying the sextant is the tool. Crickets.
Yeah, I'm hoping the longer pauses will encourage people who might be waiting for a gap in Discord to pipe up.
I love it. See, prior to this, they can call straight curved and fancy their way around reification and geodesics and forward space-time and just live in la-la land. You say, okay, well, is there a practical way you can actually prove this? Yeah, the sextant. Oh, really? And then when you break it down, the sextant shows them all to be liars.
Right.
They're all liars because sextant can't work that way. So don't bring geodesics, don't bring curved surface, don't bring anything unless you got two straight lines meeting where the observer is to create a vertex. Because if you bring anything else, you're either stupid or you're lying.
Hey, Chocolate.
Well, that's why I called him out on not knowing what the difference between an arc and a chord was that one day, or that he was trying to conflate them, because he really needs straight to be bent, like desperately.
Exactly.
Well, then get a different tool to measure bent because the sextant can't measure bent.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, to keep his worldview, he is desperately trying to hold on that, you know, those two things are interchangeable. That's why he wouldn't define the difference between an arc and a chord.
Well, let them try. Let them try all they want, but the tool itself is inoperable on a curved surface. And everyone would agree because their own definition tells you it needs a straight baseline. They're just going to...
I was going to say that is where it comes down to Bendisontal and the fight that you'll see on Bev Try Thinking's channel almost daily, because this is not a new drum in that regard. You know, Bev's been banging this geometric drum for a significant period of time, and I'm glad that, you know, in this regard our paths have converged. You know, because although I've tuned into Bev for a while, you know, it's nice at the moment to be tuning in and hearing the same things, but they're not being said by Bev because he's hearing them on here. He's just coming at a completely different angle, but literally on the identical path that we're on currently. So, you know, there's a lot of is it symbiotic? Is that the right word? Maybe not.
Yeah, Bev's dealing more with the Autolites, isn't he?
Sure, but the principles that are being argued about and the geometry is exactly the same in terms of how it's being argued. And he does occasionally have, I've seen a couple of shows where he's detailing the Sextant as well, with exactly the same arguments. You know, Bev is, that's his shtick. You know, what we're talking about now is very much Bev's shtick in terms of how he holds them over the barrel and then gets to the, you know, with Akuma virus, it's the intrinsic curve of a straight line, and with them it's bendisontal. You know, but those are just converging paths that we both happen to be, you know, we're not even in the same group, but we just happen to be shoulder to shoulder with them at the moment.
You know, we've got circle of
level.
Hold on one sec, 10th.
So
again.
That's why they talk a lot about level being allowed to be a curved line, but we can treat it as a straight line for geometry's sake, but it's actually a curved line, and it's just craziness.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, it's straight, but we could pretend as though it's a curved line. That's what we're doing.
Just treat it as a straight line so we can do these mathematics, and then imagine it's all happening on a curved surface of a ball.
The problem
Right,
is
they
they're always
actually work
using
backwards.
they're always using optical to try and reify the globe. Then they have to calculate the globe into the flat measurements.
Yeah, but the actual measurements
Yeah,
that
they
take place
approach
in
the whole argument with.
I was just going
Sorry.
to say, the measurements that actually take place in reality, as Alwyn described, with you throwing your sextant over the side of the ship so it sinks to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. In other words, when they justify it after the fact flatzoid, they physically can't have you holding the tool necessary to make the angle measurement anymore. It has to come from the centre.
Is there any magnification on the sight glass of a sextant? I've never used one, so I'm just asking.
Yes, you can have.
And
can
how
have just
far can you actually see with that? What is the distance?
Let me explain quickly. You can have one without, and you can have one time, 2 times, 3 times. I don't know if it goes any more than that. That people like the 3 times for the evening shots of the stars because it's dark, so it helps see them better. But it's not much more than that.
Can I just regale the person who's asking the question with a story that 10th Man told me? So he explained that he was, I can't remember where he got this information from, but somebody was explaining that if it's a crappy day and, you know, as a result, obviously you're going to have a much closer horizon because you can't see very far, but there's still a point in the distance. And as I had explained to me and as it was explained to 10th, well, the question arose, well, what do you point the horizon mirror at in that circumstance? And the answer was, whatever you can see. In other words, whatever the distance, regardless of if you can see the horizon at a massive distance or really close to you, you still just point it at that. Because this horizon that you're going to be experiencing is an optical phenomena. So you're just trying to establish horizontal using an optical phenomena. And then applying that fact that you can acquire horizontal with your eyeball to the ground after a correction that corrects it to the flat plane that you're actually standing on. So you're just utilising a principle. Where the horizon is kind of, well, where it is isn't relevant. It's, you know, you're talking about an optical phenomena that can change with the weather. So, you know, I don't know why the questions come in terms of what zoom capabilities you have, because I don't think it really helps. Maybe it makes it more accurate. Maybe 10th Man will correct me and say, no, if you've got 2 times or 3 times, it'll make it much more
pretty
accurate.
much always perpendicular from plumb, though? Pretty much?
Hang on. The telescope, you're aiming at the luminary. You're sighting the horizon for your baseline. That's all. I mean, that's what you need, the horizon, so that you can set your vertical. If you don't have the horizon, you don't know what your vertical is. It's
right,
90
and I was
degrees.
asking for the distance. Is if on that day you can see further than the geometric horizon, doesn't that already say something using the sextant?
Yeah, that black swan basically is what you're saying. Correct. But what
Right,
geometric
right.
horizon? Exactly. Good point.
That's what I was going to say. What geometric horizon?
Yeah,
No,
that was
that's
my
what
point.
he's saying. Hold
If
on.
you can see further with the sextant on a clear day, say it's the clearest day you've ever had in your entire life, and you can see past the geometric horizon using a sextant, well, there blows everything. It's already bust.
Yes, correct. What you're doing is he's tying the arguments together and saying you can see a black swan in a sextant is basically what he's saying. And yeah, you're right.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But you can't, because sextant is not a P900. It can't bring it in. That's not the point. The point is the
No,
sextant.
but if you could see past, the observer's height times 1.2 squared, you're already past the geometric. Whether you're 100 meters or 1,000 meters, or 1,000 miles, you're already past it.
It is a good point. Hold on. I just want to re-stress it. I'm not doing a Brian or anything, but it's not. Anyway, he's saying if you're on the ground, you're a couple of inches off the ground with your sextant. Let's say you're doing the observation and you happen to be where BLMS B69 was. So Bo's on the ground with his sextant rather than his P900. But you're saying with 3 times 3x you couldn't see 2 little specks in the distance with the horizon beyond it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Me? Is it me or him you're talking to?
Saying to you, with a 3x, would you get nowhere near even being able to make out what Bo zoomed in on with a P900? when he's got that particular black swan. In other words, are black swans only in fact capable of being attained with super zoom cameras, or is it the case that a couple of inches off the ground, when you do the maths in the optics of a sextant to make this guy's point make sense, you could still just about make out those oil rigs?
Okay, see, the reason this is not working in my mind right now is this. So let me explain it, and then it's not what it's for. What it's for, because there's a address book of all the navigational stars, total of 64 for the aviators and just under 200 for the mariners. But even the mariners like the Air Almanac because it's the most prominent stars. So 64 of them. And they each have an address for every hour, minute, second of the day on this plane that we live on. So when you bring out the sextant, whether you're 10 feet above the water or you're 1 foot above the water, or in this case, 1 foot above the water and the sand, you're right at the beach at Miramar Beach. You still got to take that 1 foot down in your dip correction, because what it does, it runs a straight line all the way to the GP of that star, 3,000 miles, 5,000 miles, 4,000 miles, whatever it is, in the address book. Forget the black swan in the sense of what a P900 can show you. The sextant, like I said, I think John helped me here a little bit because it comes out of my mouth the way I think. It just plows through refraction. It just plows through everything, is what I said. Meaning, it's got to be flat and straight all the way for 3,000 miles, no matter what you see.
Yeah. I made that disclaimer. I'm not trying to decry Brian's point in any way. Brian's point being that you've got a straight line with two 90-degree angles, one for the star's GP and one for you and your zenith. Well, that gives you a box. Once you've made the dip correction, it cuts through refraction because it's no longer dealing with refraction. It's making it geometric, right?
Right.
This guy's just saying, in theory, if you could see the horizon beyond where they claim a geometric limitation to your view will stand because you're on a sphere, then technically you could see the horizon beyond the geometric limitations. That's all a black swan is. So you could, in theory, see a black swan in a sextant. And we're into the minutiae that doesn't really matter. Theoretically, yes, you could.
Okay, if you're saying it that way, then I could see a black swan with my own set of eyes on a good day.
Correct. Yes, you can.
That was his point. Yeah,
that's no biggie.
Yeah, that's all he's making as a point.
Yeah, I can't say that the 3 X can even come close to the P900s where I was stuck.
No, sure, I get that. It's not a tool for zooming in a lot. That's not what it's for. You're just trying to establish a horizontal with the horizon mirror. That's all you're doing.
Well, as an anti-flat earther, shouldn't they be enraged saying you're not pointing the horizon mirror at the horizon? You're pointing it at a refracted mirage of something else and just off into space.
I see what you're saying. What you're saying is they should be outraged at the claim even being in existence from the sextant because it stands in violation of their claim in terms of their belief in geometry with Earth curve edges. Therefore, what do you mean you're just going to point the sextant at the horizon? That's nonsense, because the horizon's falling away from you because we're on a sphere Earth. So this sextant nonsense, this is just antiquated rubbish. They never really got where they needed to go with this tool, is what they should be crying, right? Instead, they're going, no, when you measured your 1 degree to Polaris and backed away 69 miles and then measured a degree drop towards the horizon, you're actually not holding the sextant. The sextant was at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth and the stars were infinite distance away. Look at my maths.
Right. Yeah, that's... I don't know. Their responses to this have been so just lost.
Weak,
pathetic.
Poor, crappy.
Pathetic.
Yeah, sounds like a kid trying to defend Santa Claus to you, you know?
Yeah, it does. But bear in mind that when they're doing that, they're not fighting us. They're fighting their own cognition and their own cognitive dissonance. They think they're fighting us. They're not.
Well, this is why I'm waiting for someone other than Fallacy Bob. Now, that may come, it may not come, because maybe they're too smart to do what Bob did. But Bob already said something that I caught that he doesn't know I caught. because, when you study this for 2 years almost, there's stuff, I mean, it's just in my head because I've been studying it. I've got hundreds of dollars worth of books here. Plus, I got beautiful German-made Sextant. And I've watched all the videos. And when someone says something, just like this last incident, something gets, in my mind says, nope, that don't work because of this, this, and that. So when Bob came on and did what he did, he gave us the best gift ever. But I didn't call him out on it because I want to get it from another baller. And when I get it from another baller, that may be the time to spring it.
Right, quick shout out to, hope I say this right, is it Udada? Hopefully I've said that correctly. It says horizontal, the first entry in the baller's list of forbidden words. Yeah, add 90 degrees to that. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey, Adam. Good to have you.
Hey.
Good to have a show, thanks to you.
Good to be able to join the show.
I got in touch with Adam over the weekend. I'd already thanked him profusely, but I got him back in touch after thanking him profusely to thank him even more profusely, because I was sat there on, I can't remember if it's Saturday or Sunday, going, I'm quite relaxed today. And the reason was simple, because I wasn't fretting about not being able to produce the show and having things that are needing repair but just sat in front of me, things like that. I'd got it all sorted by the weekend, and even on a Friday had a show, because I'd nipped over to Adam's and picked up a projector, which is brilliant, because it means, albeit in a very limited, very clunky fashion, if you're wondering why the show has got slightly crappier audio or slightly crappier visuals, that's why. I'm just running on slow motion because I've got to fiddle around to find things on the screen, but I can actually do the show, which means I didn't stress and fret about it all weekend, and that is purely down to purely down to Adam, which is why you got the extra thanks, Adam. So I'm fresh, happy.
Whilst I've got a bit of goodwill then, could I just do a quick shout out? I've known, somebody came to see me this week. Flat Earth is spreading, basically. And a patient of mine, Tracy, I've known for years. The topic kind of varied over onto Flat Earth. And she was like, no way. My brother absolutely loves Flat Earth. He watches that Nathan Oakley all the time. So we ended up getting in touch, and he came in, and I gave him a load of bits of memorabilia and the likes. And I just wanted to give him a shout out. So he's about my age. It's Peter. So shout out, Peter. And also his son's full on flat earther as well, and that's Aaron. So shout out to Peter and Aaron, 2 more flat earthers in Nottingham, and it was really good to meet you guys. We chatting for quite a while. So yeah, Peter and Aaron, respect, keep it flat, brothers.
Oh, well, that's very nice to hear. Well, thank you for listening, Peter and Aaron. I really appreciate your support. Please share the show. Good stuff. Love to hear it.
But it's mad when things like that happen. You know what I mean? And he actually came in to see us because, oh, you're part of the panel, and it's kind of surreal in a way. But nice to know we're impacting out there, mate. As like I say, I've known this lady for years. And then to find out, her brother's been into it. He used, like me and you, he used to be big space heads into all that sort of sci-fi and astronomy he was into. And it's that real honest interest in it that you pursue and pursue as you try and seek more truth that finally convinces you it's bunkum, innit? And again, that was a kind of his similar tale to us,
I'm nodding along while you're saying it, thinking, yeah, exactly the same here. Although you did qualify that as us.
I could tell that brought a big smile to your face, Adam. That's tremendous.
Yeah. It's nice because I keep my flat earth flyers and that on the counter just in case anyone's ever interested. But it's really cool when somebody does come in. And like I said, it's an impact, it's real, It's not just sitting about on YouTube, but somebody out there watches YouTube, and then could be asked to come to the chemist to say hello because, you know what I mean? And just, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it is. It's heartwarming. And I would imagine that these people aren't massively stressed and concerned about this like our anti-flat earth counterparts.
Very, very happy, relaxed man. The very happy, relaxed son. Who had a big grin, because I asked him, I guess, so you a flat earther as well? And he just looked at me and had this, just with a huge grin, and yeah. So,
yeah, it is something to be smiling about when you don't have to concern yourself that saying those words might result in ridicule from the person who's never heard of the subject and definitely won't have any sympathy for you in that regard. They'll just revert to the automatic brainwash position that they feel that they should take in that situation and immediately demean and ridicule you. So the knowing grin comes when you go, I don't have to concern ourselves with that then. Oh, wonderful. Now, once you're past the sociological aspects of the ridicule of flat earth, I would say, I've got to put that qualifier in, that most people are a lot happier for it. In other words, the cosmology, if you want to look at it from that, purely from that perspective, doesn't leave you stressed and strained. Whereas currently, there's a lot of people who come on the show who go, where are all the ballers? Well, just no, we've had a few accounts from people like Anthony Riley, who keeps his ear to the ground a hell of a lot more than I do, that these people are far too stressed to engage us. In other words, these people, when I say to Arwin, I'll take a couple of days off a week, Arwin, or you'll burn out, I'm only talking to him on a YouTube level. I'm not talking to him like he should be concerning himself with the cosmological impacts of flat Earth at this point in his life. Not at all. It doesn't even come up. It's more like, this is how you need to, pace yourself for YouTubing, because that's the primary concern. Now, I don't know if anybody will raise their hand when I ask this question, but Neil's not here. Oh, he is. Maybe Neil will raise his hand. We'll see. Who's stressed about this? Who's stressed about the turnaround? Maybe it's a length of time thing, but anybody here is going to say, yeah, actually, I lose a lot of sleep over this now. I'm a flat earther.
What?
Well, I think the stressful part is. Sorry.
I think you're hearing sounds of shock and awe from was it Chocolate? I didn't look over.
No, yep. I heard my name mentioned.
Yeah, I'm saying you sometimes express your pain. Now, you're newer to this subject than a lot of the people on the panel, if I'm honest, Neil, from memory. You're one of the newest to the subject. And you're not new to the subject. But by the same token, you're still dealing with family aspects, conflict aspects, and, you want, on a social level, people to find out on a more mass scale because of its, its perceived impact on you. I can only read between the lines, and, generally when we rib you about it, you don't disagree. So with that in mind, I've said that maybe you will raise your hand, and when I say who's stressing about this, who's losing sleep over this, in the same way I know from reports from people with their ear to the ground that they are very stressed about this, and this is just a bit much for them to take at the moment. That's why it's very quiet.
Oh, I agree, but I'm not losing sleep.
This is why we've not heard from the Rumpus. Is he in the Priory or something?
It's not about Rumpus. I banned him when he started lying. There's a line that you draw with people like that.
I heard through the grapevine that Rumpus is running around saying, not crazy man, but he destroys you on every argument. That's why you made up this.
Oh, what a shock. So you're saying he lies about why he's not allowed to come back? No, he's not allowed back because we caught him in a lie in terms of where the geometric horizon claimed to be a physical limitation to your view back in the days of the Isle of Man discussion. Quote, it's refracted because of its position with respect to the horizon, end quote, the Rumpus, was then declared to have always been refracted. I always refracted it, even back then. He lied. I called him on his lie, played his lie back to him, gave him a couple of opportunities to redeem himself and take back his lie, which was clearly obvious. Now, after a few chuckles and denials of his lie, he repeated the lie and just continued playing it that way. Dedicate yourself to the lie and don't ever turn back. Well, sod you, you're just not going to do that here. When I've caught you in a lie and it's obvious and I can then trim out a concise video and show you lying, and I showed videos with Rumpus lying with the thumbnail of a pair of pants on fire, just in case you want to look it up for yourself. But at that point it's like, no, we're dealing with just scum of the earth. They will deceive you. More than willing to overtly lie. In other words, lie through their back teeth to your face. No, I don't want to deal with that. That is stressful. I don't want to, whenever you... My advice to you, if you're dealing with a narcissist or just a liar, you just turn your back on them. That's it. Don't involve yourself in them. If they're involved with some of your friends that they try and triangulate you through them with, unfortunately, you have to disassociate yourself from them too, which is unfortunate. And there's been lots of good friends I've had to disassociate myself with because they're involved with some lying piece of shit narcissist that I just don't want any part of. Now, that's a tough choice to make sometimes, but, you know, it's easier to relate when it's actually on a broader scale. So if you talk about NASA, I don't watch NASA, I don't watch SpaceX, I don't watch these lying pieces of shit. They're just lying through their back teeth all day long about what they're doing and where they're doing it. So, just don't watch. You know, don't involve yourself with it. That will cause you stress. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. Anybody got any comment?
Yeah, well, then you get people that come and try and get your attention because you ignore them. That's all that happens.
Well, as I say, Rumpus is the kind of person that will just lie through his back teeth about everything. That's why he's banned. So the fact that he's lying and saying he's not coming because he just demolishes me, okay, yeah, that's pretty much what I would expect from a liar. And he's a proven liar, a demonstrable liar. And he's lying about the fundamental nature of the Earth. That's the nature of the debate we're having, i.e. Earth curve, in this instance, the geometric horizon, the physical obstruction to your view at the Isle of Man, as claimed back then, and now the refracted, and I always refracted it, horizon now, which he's having to lie about. Well, you know, at the point that you lose, if you've just got to lie, get lost. Yeah, you've lost.
I like to
He
comment
doesn't
on
even
this.
admit to lie to himself.
He's lying to my audience at that point, and I know he is and can prove he is, and I don't want to subject my audience to that. I know they're lying, we point out that they're lying, but having me publish them lying to me and me tolerating it is just a step too far for me personally. Some people still put up with that crap. That's obviously their bag, not mine.
It's a behavior that they show because the whole subject is like living rent-free in their head. It's bothering them so much that they do all these antics and hate and all kinds of like what happened with Flatzoid, with them coming after him. Well, you've had some decent normies come on the show and, oh, yeah, you know, based on that, you're right, they'll say. And it's a back and forth, a nice conversation. Then when these anti-flat earthers come, I mean, it's just terrible. It's because the whole thing is the subject is rent-free in their head and their conscience is bothering them.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the PayPal link, as I've got a projector bill to follow. Also joined as a Nathan Oakley channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Test it.
There's so many other things that he's supposed to do that he hasn't done.
Look, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Give me a break.
Get to
Now I
it
get it.
now.
Yeah, because I mean, me and Brian have been going on with years with him about this. It's just optical drop. So he would probably take an optical, just lie about it and call it drop. Actual curve.
I'm 99.9% done. And that was 2 years ago.
Wow, it's a lively after show.
They're all gone, Flatzoid. They all ran away.
Don't you understand that the reasoning that these people will not get on this show now, Nathan, is because you just yell at them and you berate them and eventually you drag your balls across their chin. That is the reason I just read about 15 minutes ago in the chat. There you have it.
Oh,
Metaphorically. Metaphorically.
Oh, so they're not mature enough to be able to stand their own ground?
Look, right, it's obviously the first people to bleat are the people who've been the most vindictive and vicious. Yeah? It's like that with every bully you will ever encounter. Yeah? The moment they get a taste of their own medicine, they run to the headmaster. Yeah? You tattletale to your teacher and they'll punish you for it. That's the bully. But the moment they get a taste of their own medicine, they'll take it that one step further and take it to the headmaster. That's how bullies behave. Yeah? Because, like in the films when they show you, oh, be sympathetic to the bully. Look, he's being bullied at home by his father. Oh, I see. So he's being bullied by his father, so he comes to school and bullies you till you kick him in the balls and then he goes to the head teacher. Yeah? Well, that's what's happening. They're getting kicked in the balls and they go, I don't like it when you did to me. We want to be horrible to you.
Shit at home.
You should go back and I'm not going to list some of the stuff. I get the same as Jaren. But on occasion, Jaren will list some of the things, the vicious and vindictive things his commenters say to him. And they're the pits. They're the absolute pits. Some of the things people have said to me are disgusting. And I just see those things when I see them as projections. That's all they are. Projections. Now, somewhere they've suffered some wrong and they want to project it onto me when I say something they don't agree with. So that vile vitriol that we talked about in the pre-show, where people bottle it up and then let it out when they think they're anonymous, didn't mention in the pre-show, that's still part of you. As much as I talk about it being, oh, well, it's something you allow yourself to be online that you wouldn't allow in public, it's still you. In other words, every one of those faceless, nameless trolls, I say, oh, that's still just a person at the end of a keyboard. They're still manifesting this vitriol. Now, that's their pain, not yours. Yeah, you've got to know that about your bully too. Doesn't mean a sharp kick in the nuts won't hurt them and make them cry. It does. Obviously, they're all crying about it. You're now telling me about how they're crying about it. Yeah. Can you hear me smiling while I'm detailing all of this stuff? Your vitriol aimed towards me. Yeah. Water off a duck's back. What is it, 5 years? We're detailing how it's a joy beyond the ridicule that you project onto us. That's the only thing we really actually have to cope with. Because concerns about the nature of reality? None. Zero. That's all you've got, though. Concerns about the nature of your reality, how it's potentially a bit fragile. And you don't like it. Okay, share your pain. There's a reason we use those words.
Actually kind of like the ridicule sometimes. It shows how little they got.
Yeah, it shows how fragile their arguments are to have to ridicule your opponent in the way they do it. You know, that I think in time will be telling to more people who are on the periphery and go, actually, I'm just not that kind of person. I don't immediately belittle and berate the person that's shown me to be incorrect.
Because remember, we didn't start ridiculing them. They started ridiculing us just for asking questions. We ridicule them now because now they've reached the point where they're basically ridiculing themselves every time they open their mouth trying to defend this nonsense.
Precisely.
So that's not our fault. That's your fault.
Exactly. It's not
Why
ridicule.
Are you defending nonsense that's not defendable?
It's not pure vitriol because they're a globe believer. It's not like I come across somebody and go, you believe the Earth's a sphere, you Mongol, and start berating them and calling them names. No, that is not the case at all. That is far from the case, in fact. So when we do, as they say, oh no, being being shown and told off. It's after being told how chords work and then being asked to spell it and you say C-O-R-D. That'll get you told off. And if you're so arrogant to describe something that you can't even spell and describe it badly as having an intrinsic curve, and then you get corrected in terms of your geometric illiteracy to talk through the person that's trying to correct you, moan that you're being talked through by the person trying to correct you, and then spell it incorrectly, yeah, that's going to get you told off. In a classroom setting, it would be justified, and I label the show as education. Now, when people want to say you've gone too far, I've never once seen a video that actually demonstrates that, with justifiable reasoning behind it. I.e., you can show me something that's cherry-picked and say, look, he's shouting at somebody. Yeah, I am. What was the context leading up to that? Oh, that's missing, is it? Because you'll never find one that's justified. Normally, it's got about 2.5 hours preceding it. In other words, there's been a long build-up by some fundy wanker who's just refused to say a single word because it's too terrifying, like Horizon. And after about 10 or 15 attempts of trying to get him to say a word that if you say it, you know damn well, the person not saying that is, that it will destroy your own faith in a globe Earth horizon that you can't now say. But you'll say it's in the title or something like that to try and get away from not saying it. It's pathetic. Like I say, these are the people with the sleepless nights that can't say certain words.
I sleep like a baby.
Me too. Well, I say that. If it wasn't for babies, I'd sleep like a baby.
I get that, yeah.
And normally for everyone
Must
else...
suck waking up day after day for years and knowing your side doesn't have anything to offer. That's gotta be painful to some extent, I think.
But that's what I want to focus on and discuss here when they're not here. Because that's the reason they're not here. You know, other than, like I discussed earlier about Arwen not, you know, don't burn yourself out in your YouTube context. That is, like I say, without question that somehow Flat Earth's going to burn Arwen out, or me out, or anyone else out for that matter. So in terms of having an ability to just, you know, continue doing what you're doing, ploughing on, once you've got over the fact that there's anti-Flat Earthers out there call you stupid regardless of what you say and ignore every single word you do say, you know, once you get over that, you're like, okay, well, nothing's stopping me ploughing on doing this indefinitely. But we hear, like I say, on the grapevine about how it's just too stressful to continue for our opponents on the globe side. It's like, really? It's too stressful to continue along the line of truth that you actually believe you're on a sphere? If that were the case, it wouldn't be stressful. Yet who's the one sitting pretty not stressed about it, other than the ridicule you project? Well, that would be the Flat Earthers. For the most part, I can't speak for everyone. I'm not going to stereotype everyone out there.
That's why I like asking them, why are you upset? Why do you look uncomfortable? I don't understand. All I did was just describe to you what you believe is reality, and now what I just described to you, what you think is reality, that made you uncomfortable. Why? Because I described it to you instead of you reading it in a textbook. Does it make it more I don't know, attainable if you read it in a textbook or see it in a movie, as opposed to me just telling you, yeah, well, that's what you think is happening. Well, yeah, but that's not happening. But it has to be. What?
That's telling, Chocolate, because if they owned it, they wouldn't be that way. But because it's consensus driven and they've been programmed. What? No. Well, that's what they. No, I don't feel. No, I'm not stupid. Don't. No. Yeah, but when you explain it, it is stupid. But it's what I believe. But don't tell me it's what I believe.
I think the other thing they might be justified in terms of they're trying to avoid an effect. Did you hear Sasha's example to Akuma Virus before the weekend, where it's like, you're going into a church each day, and when the priest starts the sermon, you say, God isn't real. And then the sermon continues, and then the service continues. The following week, or the following day in that example, you go back into the church when there's a different sermon and tell the priest that God isn't real. And you keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. And you're like, why are you here again? what purpose does this serve exactly? I don't really get it. You know, if you are comfortable in your affirmation or self-belief that there is no creator, then fine, go about your daily business. Surely this shouldn't concern you that you occupy your day coming in and telling the priest day after day that God isn't real. There's just no need. It just seems excessive. Why would you do such a thing? You know, and the answer is they're projecting their own pain and their own insecurities about their own model being attacked because they've reified it into existence. And they don't want to accept that they've reified a model into existence. They just want to challenge the challengers of their reification of a model into an existence that isn't the reality that presents us with. You know, the flat and stationary Earth is what we actually experience, admitted by many NASA documents. And they don't want to admit that. It's painful. So hence, they burn out. They burn out not because they're doing too much YouTubing, but burn out because they're spending their time in servers fighting the good fight of something that they should just believe is true and go about their day anyway.
Nathan, he was
And
too.
you got this whole world of crap that you could run around in and enjoy, right? You can go enjoy your apparent horizons, your geometric horizons. You can go enjoy all of that. Enjoy the Coriolis you think is real, right? This curve you think is real. Go enjoy that. But why do you go into the places where the people who don't think it's real, why do you want them to be on your side? When you've got this whole world of crap that you want to believe, go believe it. I don't understand. Why does it make you so uncomfortable?
Because we're stopping them. Because we're interfering with that belief. That's why. We disrupt that process of belief without question. Suddenly they've got to question it because we're around, and they could continue believing it without question if we weren't questioning it. That's the mentality.
But that even points more to it just being a consensus belief. Like, so we just have to be on your side. We just all have to believe it. If it was true, if we would just believe it, you wouldn't be in here telling us it's true.
Yeah, when it's a consensus belief, we disrupt the consensus. Therefore, we need shutting down.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but look at the when you talk to a normal person that doesn't actually know about the subject yet. It's totally different. Even if they don't accept it, they don't go and try and push you about it. They just accept, okay, this is what he believes, and that's it. These guys are like to a whole nother level of extreme, trying to convert people back to the globe. It's a cult. That's all it is.
Yeah. Consensus, cult, same thing.
Well, everyone likes a good debate except them.
No, they like a good debate. Or they tell us that they like a good debate because we're such pushovers. But then they get mentally burned out trying to defend it against us while we sit around going, yeah, it's nice when it's quiet.
No,
they like a good debate only how to use logical fallacy.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
I think it was literally either Bob, I forget which one. It was either Bob or Phil. One of them came in 24/7 and said, I'd like to debate you guys, but I need to be allowed to use fallacy.
No
and we
way.
were like, is this guy out of his mind? He came in demanding, like, first I want mod powers, and then I want to be able to use logical fallacy. I'm like, what the? These guys have lost it.
Yeah, I got a recent clip of a guy who came in. I think he was the first guy who came in to get Dave Weiss's Bitcoin. And he's like, well, you've got to let me beg the question.
We do? Where the fuck are we again? We gotta let you beg the question.
Well, that's my point. Everyone likes a good debate, but you got to stick to the rules of debate, and they don't like to stick to the rules of debate.
Yeah, in their mind, justified use of begging the question. I think it was Tim Osman that says, a logical fallacy is better than nothing.
Yep. That's pathetic.
That's because they got
because
nothing.
that's what he said. Yeah, exactly. That's what he's got. Nothing. So I got this logical fallacy. It's got to be better than the nothing I got. Thanks. Way to go, Tim. Nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve. Who claims that?
With Tim Osman, he comes out with these things. You think, how's he going to top that? That's so priceless. And then he tops it by saying, nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve, end quote. Now, can I show you my This is Earth curve titled Pictures of Horizons, please? Yeah, we've burnt them all out. No, they can't cope with it. You know, they expect us to tolerate endless, non-stop, unjustified ridicule and stereotyping fallacies, and we're just expected to just suffer that regardless. It's a social standard that's been laid down that apparently is all cool, and there's no objecting to it. We're not in any sort of protected group as flat earthers after all, so we just have to tolerate it, right? No, you can deal with the bullying, right? Okay, fair enough, we will then. And then eventually you get hardened to it and water off a duck's back. But in the meantime, the people, as we keep pointing out, who are supposed to be on the side of their truth, are getting stressed, distressed, and having to go away and recoup after coming here on what? Losing badly, because they haven't got anything. They've just got a string of fallacies.
And cartoon measurements with vertexes starting in the middle of an imaginary ball. That's funny.
And there's only so many people that will become the minority of minorities, which is anti-flat earthers, that sit with the cognitive dissonance and share their pain left, right and centre, try and work their way around problems that arise in terms of how we debunk their model, you know, the stereotypical anti-flat earther. Well, that's a very, very, very small percentage of people out there. You know, so I think the majority might dip in and go, no. And rightly so, they manage to, you know, not vomit up the blue pill at that point. You know, in other words, they stay in normie reality with having hopefully only come across the mainstream, very, very carefully constructed anti-flat earth stuff that's the top of the lists of the searches if you search the subject in YouTube. You know, hearing that, you know, the reaffirmation that you should ridicule these people and they've got no clue and here's their model and here's how I debunk it, the same old usual crap. Well, you know, that's your average guy who's dodged the bullet, basically. In some ways, the anti-flat earthers would look at that guy and go, you lucky sod. So you came across the ABC piece on flat earth, saw it as being silly and went about your day, and you're still so confident in your sphere belief that you don't even give it any thought anymore. You know, the anti-flat earthers, they'd love to be you. They really, really want to be you again, and they never will be. So, you know, they become this very tiny percentage, small percentage of people that have dug in, but not gone, holy crap, it was all a big lie. They've gone, holy crap, I've got to figure out a way to get around this so it's not all a big lie.
Then anti-flat earthers stand out like a sore thumb. You can see them from a mile away.
You can see their pain. You can smell it.
I call this a mimetic trap when I fell into it. I still think it kind of is that.
Your anti-flat earthness stinks. Eugh, get away. Stinking up the joint. Yeah, these little calms are for that reason only. It's the bullies that can't take a taste of their own medicine if they're moaning that I'm too harsh with them. Oh, really? Take a quick look in the mirror, then come and complain. Check out what we have to deal with on a daily basis. In the meantime, you know, they just can't actually cope with the arguments. It wouldn't be the case that if they were just actually right in their moaning about, you know, how delicate a snowflake they really are. Oh, I'm so delicate I can't take being shouted at when I make some stupid claim about how you spell cord. Boo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, well, after the fact, it's like, yeah, there's going to be plenty of people in your ranks that can tolerate that because they've got a really good argument that makes us shut up, that stops us in our tracks. That if they are just allowed, to get through the mute button that's already claimed and in effect all the time when I'm in the chats with the exact same argument and there's no mute button. They just get the same exact annihilation, and I appeal to that defence. Are you muted, Blue Marble Science, if you're watching? One of the recent people that goes head-to-head with me in chats to eventually run away. Well, in terms of endurance level, I'm never going to get tired of having the winning argument and throwing it right in your face over and over and over again, numbering the times I've put the winning argument to you that you can't overcome. Yeah, that's never going to get boring. That's really good fun for me. But for someone like Blue Marble, it's just causing endless pain. Yeah? Me asking where he gets an R value from. Yeah? Well, I ask him if he's muted in the chat. So you muted, Blue Marble? because that's the useless level of defence that they use. Oh, I'll get muted. No, you won't. You'll get to put your crap argument and your fallacious reasoning, then you'll get it ripped apart, and when you try and obfuscate, defend it, or talk through it, you'll get shouted at. And you'll focus on the latter, won't you, that you've got shouted at when you've said something stupid. Oh, okay. Most people with half a brain can see right through that. Or keep telling everyone how you're a delicate snowflake. Yeah, they can't come here from the globe side. They're all far too delicate. Didn't realise being a baller was, you know, prerequisite to having a nervous disposition. But there we go. You learn something new every day if that's the reasoning.
Well, just the way that they attack flat earthers, like I remember, you know, I done it. It's like looking back on it, it's disgusting. But you know, when it happens to them, all of a sudden it's a crime. That's so stupid.
Nuts, isn't it?
Hey Nathan, is that Bitcoin still up? Is that offer still on the table?
It's not my offer. The Bitcoin offer comes with various different terms that you have to abide by. For example, you have to join the app.
Only because I'm trying to get some people on here to debate and learn some stuff.
Right, and you can only get them on if you entice them with 100 grand.
Pretty much.
That says it all. So you're telling me it would take 100 grand for someone to come in here and defend their globe faith? Yeah, pretty much. What does that tell you, audience?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to either see somebody get schooled or for somebody to come out on the other side and realize the Earth is flat.
Indeed, you do. But yeah, if anybody's listening and they're like, how do I get Bitcoin? I can prove a sphere. Well, you need to go and check out the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock app. Join, and then I think there's a certain thing you have to do for a week or a month. I forget exactly the time period. But you have to log into the app and show that you are paying attention to whatever's going on at that particular, for that week. Just so you're not like clearly total newbie that just happened to stumble on it in a website and go, I can easily prove it, and then you just stumble in here and get your head ripped off within 5 seconds. So in other words, you've got to watch a few things on the app and pay attention for a week just to show. I think that's almost like a safety net to stop total normies falling through the net. So, you know, there's certain conditions that have to be reached. And I like how a few people come in and are like, no one's ever going to get a Bitcoin because you're flat earthers and con artists. It's like, oh no, just to offer it, Dave's got to reach a certain standard, and he's a fastidious guy. He's going to check out what he can and can't do in order to offer what is a sizable amount of money. And he has. You know, he's crossed every T, he's dotted every I, and that's fairly typical Dave Weiss, like you'd expect him not to. But, you know, I'm not offering any Bitcoin. What I am is just a gatekeeper. That's all it is.
Will he allow me to use the Earth curve calculator?
Will I allow you to use the Earth curve calculator to prove Earth's a sphere?
No. Hush. No. Will Dave
let you beg the question of Earth curve in the Earth curve calculator to prove Earth curve? Can I use the unicorn biology book to prove unicorns? Am I cool using that book, John?
Yes.
Can you measure unicorns?
In the book, it shows you precisely how to do it. And in the Earth curve calculator, it shows you exactly how you'll reify the horizon into a sphere edge obstruction based on an R value that you can't acquire.
I tell you what, let me beg the question, and then we'll split the money.
If I let you beg the question, so what you're asking me to do is say, here's the Earth curve calculator, here's a day that I've cherry-picked that the Earth curve calculators match it, or if it's not cherry-picked, match it within a margin that I'll fudge with the refraction values based on an R I can't measure. And if I don't object to it and just say, okay, you've won, you think that will slip past veteran flat earther Dave Weiss, do you?
Don't talk about the horizon. Like, that's not what the Earth curve calculator's for. That's for only for objects and with respect to the horizon.
With respect to the what now that we're not talking about? Yeah, that's a problem. The people who dwindled after the fact with the Black Swan in effect still tried to pull that. Well, we won't talk about the horizon or detail it or in any way justify whether it's there or not. We'll just talk about objects that are obscured, but not being obscured by a horizon, maybe something in the near foreground, and then we'll talk about the drop value with respect to the horizon that we won't mention. Maybe if we say it fast enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know if people are still doing that, but I vaguely remember people like Ranty Flat Earth Cats. Who else did that after the fact? There was a couple of others that still sort of decided that they're gonna cling on to that calculator for all their might. Yeah, there was a few.
Yeah, like the whole idea of that calculator, you know, you can't have a horizon that exceeds that geometric limit. I mean, it's affirming the consequent in the first place because you're assuming the geometry you're claiming to measure. But once it's violated, you know, you can't keep it and just say refraction. That's ridiculous. But that's what people's done, and that's insanity.
To be fair, it was in the title before Black Swan, so begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve calculator.
Is that what the Globers call it?
That's what I call it. Got corrected. That term got changed just before Black Swan. So Quantum Eraser came to me and said, no, it's not perspective exclusive, as in not including perspective. It's perspective hijacking. And the example he showed me still goes around on this reel. So every so often you'll see some wind turbines and there's some yellow writing on it in terms of linear perspective on a sphere. And it shows the wind turbines falling away from your view in a linear fashion. And when you see that and know that they've implied a parabola or whatever with your 8 inches per mile squared, you go, yeah, all they've done is actually hijacked perspective in terms of the geometry they're asserting at the physical limitation called Earth curve, their horizon that we've debunked with the Black Swan. So it's a perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. So there's a reason I can rattle that off when occasionally I'm interviewed. You know, they're begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, because every single aspect of it has been, you know, 5 to 10 months of discussion and debate to come to a certain description and conclusion, i.e. perspective hijacking, which started out as perspective exclusive, because Anthony would be highlighting how there's a double drop, usually Earth curve drop in your calculation, and then there's a perspective drop, what was discussed earlier by Flatsoid, you know, your optical drop. Well, you know, both have to be considered, and because the perspective one wasn't, we said, well, it's perspective exclusive, it's not including it. Well, no, it's hijacked perspective. The calculator, that is. The begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. Labelled Earth curve calculator.
Where's the Morgile?
Don't know, I chased him up. He was the one who contacted me. I chased him up, didn't get a reply. Chased him up again, didn't get a reply. Made a video, or discussed it in the debate and put him in the thumbnail at the very least. Still no reply. So, but I don't know. I think Morgile's a bit flaky. What do you want?
Maybe
you know,
why
Morgile's
got
like.
called back by Bob?
Say again?
How dare you?
Say again, I didn't catch that, Owen.
He got recalled by Bob when he found out.
Recalled? What is he, like a Ford Taurus or something?
In other words, Bob told him, knock it off.
That's
John.
right.
Part of the recall. I don't know what you're talking about. Recall, this is a weird word. Why have you used that word?
To emphasize the possession nature of Bob's relationship with everybody else.
So it's demeaning and derogatory. This is going to be my moment to round out this show.
Woohoo!
That is a question. Woohoo! Okay.
Or maybe he just wised up.
Quick 10th, throw in some puns.
Yeah, that would be David.
Did I miss something?
That would be David if it wised up. And the recall, you need some parts for that.
Be David.
That was a perfectly good pun you ruined there, Chocolate.
Chocolate don't know what's going on. Somebody fill him in.
Bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, or maybe he just got too preoccupied with something else.
All I know is you guys ruined my pun.
Sure, Morgar's a busy man. I'm sure he'll be in touch. I'm sure he'll come. Could just be that it's early. Now that we're an hour later, you never know. I'm sure he'll just pop on.
I don't think Chocolate knows what's going on.
Well, he might just be doing things and I've not even noticed that one of the shows was about him and that we've discussed it on several shows since. You know, although his opener in his email to me was to say that he was watching the show, so you know that's why specifically rather than I don't know what else I can do other than reply a couple of times. But like I say, maybe he just hasn't been paying attention to those means. I know for a fact I don't pay attention often to emails that go out after I've sent somebody an email. I just don't look. Anthony Riley and nag me constantly about, well, have you looked at the reply? No. Sorry. Busy. What do you want? So one day he'll just probably grace us with his presence and we'll be like, hey, Morgal, how's it going? Now, if in the meantime you guys have all made a massive deal about it because you're concerning yourself with it because we're discussing it, doesn't mean he's giving it a second thought or even appreciates that we're discussing it at all. So, don't make a big deal out of it. This conversation can continue. Should I round out the show? Decisions.
We're just hungry sharks. And when sharks are hungry, they bite their own.
Don't worry. There's more guile to come.
I'm just
waiting for
enjoying
Bob to come on.
I'm just enjoying the keeping question that's seen as like the least effective one is getting them triggered at the moment, the molten iron core. So I'm enjoying that at the moment.
Indeed. It's the most farcical of all the housekeeping questions, if you ask me. Go ahead, whoever that was.
I was going to say the molten iron core has them stressed out right now in 2021. That's the one that's got them.
Because we brush past it, I reckon. That's assuming, obviously, everyone watches this show, which they all do. Please smash the share button. But yeah, we brush past it because it's so farcical. So if it's not having attention drawn to it, people don't realise that it is farcical because we're like, wow, molten iron core? No. Moving on.
Well, it's obvious why they have a problem with it, Flatzoid, is because when Arwen dropped that anchor with the Sextant, it went to the molten iron core and got all burned up. So it can't work from there.
On that terrible pun note, I am going to round out. With that, I'm going to say, with that terrible pun, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels in all seriousness as they make this after show possible. So thank you very much indeed to both of you, Discord and G+ panels. Also, a massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the PayPal link to hopefully help me out with the repair on a projector. Much appreciated, all the people who have smashed the PayPal link in the meantime. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.